just finished everything at the farm.
Yeah.
And now we're here to the amazing idea that you had to build a farmer's market.
Yeah.
Similar to Whole Foods, but for fresh produce.
Yeah.
So can you tell all of us about how this idea came about and the need for it? Because you did all of this in COVID when there was almost no money, it was hard for people to get something to eat, and this was born.
The greatest inventions come about when there's a great dire need, when humanity is on the brink of being alienated from living, instinction. So here we are having a problem. You have a church, you're a pastor, and the greatest need is that what you are dealing with is that people, all of them are not on the same economic level. Others are monthly earners, others are daily earners, but they have to eat. And then one of the situation that hit me in reality that some of our people are starving, and there's no reason why their kids are not having enough food to eat. Their kids are not having milk or just a pineapple, which grows in Uganda, or a cassava, or meat. And the world has concluded that those who eat meat are those who are the elite, those who are rich. Why can they have beans or greens or on their menu? Why don't they have a piece of bread? See, so we decided that let's start a farmer's market. And actually it grew up when people came, these people of the butchery, they came to buy cows and bulls from our farm. And they didn't know what I was putting in the cow or the bulls. They didn't know how we were treating our animals. They came and offered what they thought we were worth because we were in a village.
Yeah.
And it was an insult because we had treated our animals very well.
Grass-fed.
Grass-fed. We had developed them. They drink clean water. And we feed them with organic protein. And our animals were as good as the one you could find in Tesco or you could find in any other supermarket around the world. But they wanted us to give us a third of what our animals were worth. And I said, I will never sell my animals to anybody else. Because we have people who are the end user of the product. As a farmer, you want people to appreciate what you are putting in your animals. So what we did, we started a church under a tent, little tent, flimsy tent, a farmer's market. I said, farmers are being mistreated by middlemen. Why do middlemen earn more money than a farmer who puts in a lot? For example, Robert, raising a bull, a farmer has to treat it, has to pay the herdsman, you have to protect it, and you have to feed it and give it water. So you're putting in 60%. And someone who is just actually 80%, and someone who just puts in 20%, he earns 80%, and the farmer who puts in 80% earns 20%. That's not fair. That's not fair at all. So I deliberately prayed to the Lord, and the Lord led me, said, start your own market. Start a farmer's market where young people will grow their carrots and their onions and everything and be able to bring them to the city market and sell it and see how much they'll get out of it. And that's what we've been doing.
Wow. From
watermelon to onions to beef, banana, pineapple. Even we decided to do our own bakery so that when you come here, you pick up everything at affordable price. And I know the people in our church and the community do appreciate.
Yes. And I think it's something that when we talked about agriculture, you didn't just stop there on the farming. You took it further and you put it to a place of having a marketplace, having your own market that cut out middlemen, cut out major brand supermarkets. And this is right from the farm to the actual market with no middleman. What would you say for a generation right now that's looking to make a living, give themselves a sustainable resource for food, but also earn a little bit for their next generation? What advice would you give them to model the economics that Robert Kayanja has?
I think it's a revolution. We have to declare a revolution on food, a revolution on water, a revolution on anybody. Everything that we have or we're using was given to us by God. Pineapples were not developed in a lab somewhere. This is not a copyright of the South American, that they have a copyright on pineapple, they have a copyright on onions. These are things that our Heavenly Father created for us to enjoy and to have. And it's a pity that you can find a group of people monopolizing the whole farming institution and all agriculture retail. And they have made billions and billions of dollars out of it because other people don't want to participate.
Yeah.
When God created Adam and Eve, the Bible says he created man and he put him in the image. He put him in the garden. The first thing God created man, there were three things, Robert, that God gave man when he created him. Number one, he made him from the dust, breathed into him, man became a living soul. So, God gives us the breath of life. Everybody who has a breath of life has a breath of God in them. And God does not fail. God does not starve. God does not lack. In fact, God is prosperous. God is plenty. God has everything. So if you have a breath of life in you, you should not starve. Don't let circumstances and situations cause you to starve. You have to take it to another level. But also the breath of God is the Holy Spirit. Now, after that, he gave him a garden. Before he even gave him a wife, before he even started him a family, he first gave him a garden. In my new book that I've written, Every Man Needs a Garden, it is the way to go. Every man on earth must have a garden. I don't care whether it's 2 feet by 2 feet, you must grow something. We are a garden. The Bible calls us, we are the planting of the Lord. We are a garden. Something is growing inside of you. You may not enjoy everything around you. The funny thing, Robert, even when I come here at the farmer's market, they put this beautiful place together. But you know, there were no plants on the road.
Yeah.
When we did it here, we said we put a center here and put plants. But you know that those plants, we can turn them into a pineapple garden.
Yes.
We can turn this garden into an onion garden. So I think whatever you plant is your choice.
Wow.
So then the generation of humans must understand they live, or we eat to live. We live to grow things so that we can eat them and live. So the definition of life, is that we need food to eat. And we need affordable food to eat. And we need organic food to eat. We need healthy food to eat. That's how we're going to live longer. Adam lived 930 years, but they don't tell you that why did he live 930 years and everybody, after Adam, everybody actually lived less.
Yes.
You know what? He ate plants and produce which was planted by God.
Wow. Wow. Do you think that when we're talking about food and food security, we're missing very vital parts, like where the food is coming from, how to even access the food? Because when you talk to, for example, major restaurants that you and me have been to abroad, they have this very, very pristine culture. I think like one of them is Shake Shack. We're able to go there, and Shake Shack has their own refrigerators near the farm. They don't want cows that have been injected with steroids or anything. They want grass-fed beef. Whereas here, we haven't even gotten that far of our food security. How do we transport it? Why do I have to go to a market to get the proper food? Why don't I just go buy a packaged and produced mango or a packaged slice of beef instead of going to a good butcher with a good history and a resume of the cow that I'm about to eat?
I think the greatest problem we are having, especially in Africa, is innovation, lack of innovation. There was McDonald's, there was what other place? Burger King. But Shake Shack came from nowhere. And they brought a product that everybody needed. So in other words, lack of innovation locks you up as it is, so it shall always be.
Wow.
It doesn't have to be that way. Even today in my discussion with my workers at the farm, I'm telling the people that the future demands a new cow. The current cow we have today will not be able to feed that 8-9 billion people that are coming on planet Earth. We need to be able to develop a new cow out of the existing cow that is going to have enough protein, that's going to be able to produce enough milk, that's going to be grass-fed, and also that is going to be able to produce. You know, we have not even let me say this. We have not even explored what one cow can do to a family. One cow can give you cow dung, which is manure. Manure, you mix it with any terrible soil, it'll give you vegetables. One cow will give you urine. That is the #1 pesticide. It will drive ants far away from your house.
Wow.
One cow will give you milk. You can create how many products out of milk? I know you love cheese. You're a cheese person. You can have cheese, you can have milk, you can have butter, you can have ghee, and you can have formula for babies. You can use it as buttermilk. It is a food ingredient. You can use it to create cream for your skin. It can give you beef. The bones of the leg of a cow is a powerful weapon.
Yes.
The horns are, I mean, lack of innovation is one of the things. So if you become a farmer, and I'm glad you brought a story from the farm to the farmer's market, because it gets from here, I call it from toil to the table.
Wow.
From toil to the table. And I'm glad we are talking here. I don't see the products. We would have had a piece of meat here, which is cut probably, you know, cut very well with machines. You know, sometimes people don't even know how we cut meats or cut everything. So
can you get I think a pineapple and some of the fruits, vegetables, and then some meat?
Yeah, you get us some watermelon, some pineapple, and someone can the piece of meat. I mean, just you look at the piece of meat that you want to eat. It's because we have not explored, Robert, the what one animal can do to a human being. What one animal can do to a human being.
Yeah.
Everybody believes, and they know, and science knows, that everything we are using as petrol is all fossil fuel. It came from dead animals. You see? You tell me, who has the copyright on a watermelon? Who has the copyright on a pineapple? But you get a watermelon, you mix it with pineapple, you get a good cocktail. If you add technology to it, you put it in ice, or you put it in the fridge, then you're gonna serve one of the best products the world has ever seen. So when we start the farmer's market, my intention was that if the rich can have access to these products, which are grown, by the way, by farmers, they don't grow them for the rich. they produce them for humans, then everybody can come and get affordable, good food.
Wow.
The greatness of a generation, Robert, is to make that which is for the chosen few become plenty for everyone. Revolutions are never to put a few group of people over above others, but is to allow everybody to have access to that which is good. For example, like you look at this beef, you know, this is a beautiful beef, and it has to be cut like this, you know.
Yeah.
It has to be cut like this. So you look at this is very appetizing.
Very appetizing.
Okay, because it's cut properly. You know, it's appetizing. You want to eat a piece of this.
Yes.
You know, so you ask yourself, why does a rich member of the church afford this, and yet the middle income member of the church can't afford this? In the kingdom of God, there's no male or female. There's no Jews or Gentiles. The concept of God to us is same blood, same spirit, same word. It's the same thing. This is not too expensive to have. Each family can have this. That's the purpose of farmers market. And so when you look at it, it's cut properly. It's as fresh as though it has just been cut today. Of course, it was slaughtered today, but you can look at the meat. It's very appetizing. It's very nice.
The marbling in the meat.
The marble in the meat. And then this is where we always tell people that if you feed your animals well, it will be marbly.
Yes.
You see those lines there. And if you put it on a fire, that is, oh boy. And so this is what the man wanted to buy cheaply. Yeah, he wanted to buy cheaply. And because he does not appreciate.
On top of which, we still have the bone marrow here that's very nutritious. And like this, we know where this came from. We know that the cows were taken care of. We know how they were brought here. We know that we're not pumping them with gasoline and steroids and all those things. And I think that beyond that, this is the value that we're getting from understanding food security, where our food comes from, and how to raise our food for the next generation. It just does, you know. But also the way the meat is cut. You know, I decided because when you cut in meat with pangas, you're going to end up with these bones disintegrating in the meat. Yes.
But with this one cut properly, you know, and if they go and cut it back in pieces, then you are eating a real piece of meat. You know, you don't have to, you know, it's just like, that's what I said. No, we need to give the people a good service. And I believe it is something that people need to, it's the same thing with the bread. You know, if they can get me some of the pieces there, you know, just get me some of those pieces there. Robert, this is produced here. It was not here, Robert, when we started the farmers market. This was not here. So what do we decide? Give me a tray and put some of those things over there, you know, cakes and the pies. And first of all, this bread is affordable. This is a Jewish bread. It's affordable. In an ordinary supermarket, this is 10,000 shillings. Here, this is half. Our purpose is not to make money. Our purpose is to teach people how to live.
Wow.
Because the purpose of any leader is to teach people how to live. Jesus Christ said, I'm come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. And that's how you live. Why shouldn't I have a good bread on my breakfast? If I don't have other things to eat, can I slice this bread and get a piece of meat and make a sandwich? Can I have this? You know, this bread is brown bread, you know, very soft, very nice, you know.
It's usually very expensive.
Very expensive, you know. Now here is half price. Can't I have, because I have little money and my children want to have something nice, you know. These are the things. And you know, Robert, when we were dealing with these things, and these cakes are baked here. So when we started, we didn't have this.
Yeah.
You know, but now I look at it, how can I fail to take home something nice to my wife or to my kids or their birthday or something like that? So when we started it, we were looking at the farmer being mistreated by middlemen.
Yeah.
But also we were looking at the end user mistreated by middlemen. So the problem was to solve the middleman syndrome, situation, problem. That's why God tells us to come to him directly. These juices come from our mangoes.
Yeah.
So if we bring a mango and it's not bought, we automatically turn it into juice so that it can serve more purposes than ever before. So when you look at all these things are grown in the dust, Robert. Sesame seeds, call them sesame streets. Sesame seeds, and all these things. This is all dirt, Robert. This is all dirt. Like God picked man from the dust, and so everything comes from the ground.
And I think it's something really important to understand that one farm was able to do this.
Yeah.
And this was born out of finding a way of preserving life,
Yeah.
giving people something sustainable.
Yeah.
And I think what people don't even understand, you came up with all of this in the pandemic.
Yeah.
There was no food for this entire community. There was no food for the majority of our church members.
Yeah.
And something you mentioned while we were doing that was that a church can't just be a functional thing where people come on Sunday and they give money. What are they going to do when they're struggling? How is the church going to meet the need? And the farmers market was born. And right now, I'm sure they're looking at clips of the very first farmers market in our parking lot where people were cutting meat. You were cutting meat for a lot of the church members.
Communities, yes.
Yeah. And I think that that's really important.
Robert, every idea God gives you responds to 1,000 problems.
Wow.
One divine idea, one God idea answers 1,000 questions. Farmers market. Farm. Farm births the farmers market. Farmers market feed masses. Make it available for everyone. You know the difference between law and grace? The law is stated that if you cannot measure up to the law, you've broken the law. So you will never achieve it. Grace says, no matter what you have, you can have access. I will never forget, one day we had the little kid, I was here. The farmer's market had just opened. I think the day it opened. And there was a little kid, I think he was 7 years old. We were closing. Actually, we were closing that day. They had actually closed. They had literally closed. And we were still here. The first day we still started. And then this little boy came running. He had 500 shillings in his pocket. And he was frantic. He was looking for something to buy. And you could see he has not eaten anything. And my mind began to run. This must be a mother. She's been cleaning someone's house. She has come home. There's no food. So he has sent her eldest son, 7 years old, go and get us something to eat. So the person who was attending the supermarket said, we are closed. We are not going. The kid started crying. He had 500 shillings. So I called the kid and said, come back. What's the issue? He said, we have no food at home, but they don't want to sell me food. So I said to the people, open the supermarket. I said, where do you live? He said, we live down there. That's where I come from. So I told them to get him everything that the boy needed. Rice, sugar. I think we were run out of meat. But we had butter, we had bread, we had all kinds of stuff. Cereal, we got everything. And the boy, I said, where is your money? He gave the 500 shillings. And I told him, take it home, give it to mom to buy charcoal, to cook the food. And I called a border guy. No, actually, we had a car here. I told one of our people here, put the things in the car and drive it and take this boy home. It was approaching about 7:30, 8. Because at that time, there was a curfew. I don't know what happened home. But I could picture myself that if that was you, you are running to a place and they're telling you, we are closed. Not because it's closed, they were closing. They were tired, we had worked all day. But the only thing they had was this 500 shilling. You see, the opportunity of a lifetime must be accessed in the lifetime of the opportunity. The opportunity we have and the lifetime we have is the life we have. So when God gives you an idea, like he gave us an idea of a farm, I know right now, if there was a crisis where, like recently in America, there was no baby formulas, we've been giving milk to the hospital where mothers have delivered babies. These are things we don't talk about. Because here's a mother, she's poor, she's delivered a baby, but she has no milk to feed the kids. So we give hundreds of liters a week of milk, free. The life does not have to be like this. Life does not have to be like this. That's why lack of innovation and lack of sheer trust that we are here for a bigger purpose than me, myself, is what is causing this world to suffer most. But here with the farmers market, they will tell you, probably it's the cleanest market.
Yeah.
It is the affordable market.
And the customer service.
And freshest market. And the customer service is incredible. Because we are coming from a point of a regenerated spirit.
Yeah.
We are not here to fleece people. Because these people are us. Simply because they don't have enough money to buy what they want when they want it. These people are members of your church. These people are members of your community. These people are members, they're part of your country. These are your fellow citizens.
Yeah. And I think it's so valuable to understand that something that someone would look at as a business is what other people in other countries would look at as their dream center, their community center, their lifeline. Like, hey, I know that these people don't just give me a product. They care about my livelihood. They care about what their product can do in my life, which is very important. And not to mention, even when we did this, the next aspect, which probably we'll talk about in another episode, was how all of this led to the pinnacle, which was providing food security for an entire region of people in 𝐦𝐤𝐬, and how this was able to then push on to something, because the incredible story about your ingenuity and how the Holy Spirit and you have worked together to do all of this is how everything works like a stepping stone or a puzzle piece for the bigger picture or for the bigger painting. Like we had COVID, where we were giving people food, and we had the bucket project in COVID, making sure people were getting the sustenance they need, which went on to, hey, I have soap, I have some sugar, I have some rice. What are we doing now that the restrictions are loosening up? What can we do? It's still too expensive. Farmers market was born. Then we wake up and 𝐦𝐤𝐬 doesn't have food, and now people getting food in 𝐦𝐤𝐬. If you were to sum up to somebody how they should never get stuck on one idea, how would you tell them that if they kept pushing, they would be able to increase and do well?
Robert, I saw you when I was telling the story. I saw you tears that coming down your eyes. And you know what the Spirit of the Lord said to me? It's the same, you and I, when I tell stories like that, I feel like crying. Some people are crying because they have lost something. Some people have tears because they have helped someone. Some people get emotional because they are offended. Some people get emotional because they see a life transformed. How do you transit from the same old, and you go to another level? Actually, there's no transiting, Robert. There's progression. Once you start on a good idea, a God idea, it has to evolve. It has to continue moving, because everything that is living moves. It is the monument that don't move. But everything that has life grows. Everything that has life, it has chapters. It's chapters. What you need to do is don't be stuck in one chapter. You have to open another chapter, because this chapter opens the other chapter. Robert, no matter what, whether this chapter was so good and so great, it's like I love movies, right? Mm-hmm. I love these movies. Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah.
London Has Fallen. But because these new chapters keep on coming, I can't be stuck. I think Olympus Has Fallen was the greatest that you could see in a long time. But because they brought in London Has Fallen, now you are away. And then the angel has fallen. So now it's series. In other words, it's the same story told different times, world over. That's what life is all about. Robert, your life is not located in one area. You are not a village. You are not global. But your life is a story of a lifetime. Chapter after chapter, chapter, chapter. We, people of God, we are involved in the Word of God. And the Word of God is related to food or bread or life. So once God starts with you and gives you life, we're going to find out, how do we solve life's problems? How are we going to solve life's problems? Today, by the time we are doing this, nations are grasping with inflation.
Yeah.
Recession is looming heavily globally. Political unrest. War in Russia and Ukraine. Not only that, the floods, the weather, nobody has an answer. But we can find an answer in not being stuck with where we are. If we get the picture right, everything that brewery becomes part of the whole portrait. Perspective comes in. Once perspective is in, everything that was brewery begins to become clear and creates the beautiful mural on the wall. But it started with a little dot somewhere. So that is what I see. That's what I believe. That from farmers market, Robert, we are now feeding a whole region and involved in planting in the whole region. But as we are doing that, we need to find technology and innovation so that we can be able to preserve what we have discovered and what we have done, to have a long lifetime on the shelves. Because if you've got flour and you can't turn it into something that can last longer, then you have not done a good job. You get maize, corn, it must make cornflakes. You have a cow, it must create beef, but beef must also create something better than that. So that is where you find out. So what helps you not to be stuck in one place? Perspective.
Wow.
Perspective.
And what I can just say with what you've just said that's very important, because we've talked about how organic food is very important. You've only talked about an addition to the organic, only if it helps increase the shelf life of something that in a series, if it wasn't bought. That is the only way. Because you've even talked about it with your mangoes. When the mangoes aren't bought, they're making juice.
Yeah.
If that's not the case, the mangoes are there to be bought.
Exactly.
We're not just adding preservatives for the sake of adding preservatives, which is how things are. And I think that when people are watching this and they're trying to help their lives or create sustainability, these are some of the things they need to see.
Exactly, because when you add in chemicals, you're not adding value, you're subtracting value. So it's important what you're adding onto something. You get flour, you get butter, there's a need for bread, so I make bread. Are you aware, Robert, that long before the people who founded wheat as an edible, one of our great four human beings who lived on this planet Earth, how did they discover wheat? They discovered wheat, they crushed it, they made flour, they used it, we can make bread. They were known baking bread to remain on the shelves for a week. In fact, in most homes that I used to live in the United States, Robert, people were making biscuits every day.
Wow.
Which are bread rolls. They were making the things on a daily basis. So we have moved away from that because of two things. Laziness, we want it easy, we don't want it quick. So we have taken away the ingredients of life, which is, even when you are working on something, it's also life. You are kneading the flour, you are sweating, that is part of life. You are preparing to bake, that's life. You are eating it hot, that's life. So in my advice will be, let's keep the perspective. Why did we start this thing? Why are we here? That's why we keep on going. That's why it grew. Anything that has perspective, Robert, it will grow.
That's incredible.
The farm had to grow. The church is growing. Farmers market is growing. So I call it from toil to table. And if someone comes here, he has no firewood, has no charcoal, doesn't have a saucepan, but he wants some meat, he just go upstairs there. And he'll find a good restaurant.
Yeah.
So that flow, that spirit of moving things, that's what we're supposed to have in life. And I know for sure that the time will come when we have all over this country, all over East Africa, farmers markets.
Yeah. And that would be a tremendous blessing for a lot of people. But the fact that you were able to engineer a continual place that was not based off of making money, getting money quickly, but was based off of creating a sustainable solution. And the craziest thing is Uganda is not a food desert. We have food everywhere.
Yeah.
But the accessibility to something affordable, that's good, that's produced well, that doesn't have a lot of chemicals, and that's produced at a level of first class for people, was something that was greatly missing.
Yeah. You know, when God created the heaven and earth, Robert, the earth had no class. People have tried to misinterpret that verse many times, and they forgot one thing. And the earth was with no form, no class. When you are living in a society that has no class, it is anarchy.
Wow.
It is confusion. It's diseases. There has to be a distinction on food, on clothes, ambience, how you do it. Robert, these people wake up in the morning and design cameras like this. What are they looking for? Class. These people who wake up in the morning and design a car, clothes we wear, what are they trying to do? Of course, along the way, they will make money. Of course, along the way, they will lift the standard. But they are tired of the same old, same old. So when we go to join the farmers and we produce things and we bring them and we cut them well and we place them there without charging people extra money, we are raising a human class.
Wow.
And without it, the world is no different. I mean, everything is like. And let me tell you something. God is a God of difference. God is a God of difference. He loves difference. He enjoys to see what he did on Tuesday different from what he did on Wednesday.
That's incredible.
He's a God of class. Now, you choose which class you want to live into. But for him, what he means by class, it means everything is excellent. Everything has been designed to fit in. It's amazing. The equator passes through. And then there are other latitudes. Not only the equator. He's a God of class. He's a God of class. He's the things he does are class act.
Wow.
That's why he is amazing to watch. I mean, look at all these flowers here, Robert. They're different. The place looks different. Who puts flower on the street?
That's true.
That's why it's true. When we are building here, we're not looking for money. Of course, along the way, money will come. But money was not our driving force. That's why we did not spare money when we were building. If we look at life completely different from the way we've been designed to look at it, this place will look like heaven. The earth will look like heaven because God's desire is that his will be done on earth as in heaven. And you know how heaven is.
Yeah.
Golden streets and people don't die. The lakes there are crystal. Nothing dies in heaven. What stops us from doing that? What stops us from having something like here on the main street? Vehicles are moving.
Yeah.
You know, they're moving up and down. In fact, this is one of the busiest places in
I remember
the
people
city.
were trying to talk you out of it, putting it here.
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at, if I'm standing here, Robert, and I'm counting a car, that's a car going. That's a motorcycle. That's another motorcycle going with another man. That's another motorcycle is passing by. That's a big truck going. I mean, I'm just counting what is going on right now. Right now. So if I'm seated here, probably there's 1,000 vehicles bypass here. God set this place for that particular purpose. God put this place for that particular purpose. So that as people are driving by, they'll be able to stop and get a good mango juice, a pineapple, buy this, do that. Or even when I'm seated here, how can I be bored when I'm seated here? Even if I was depressed. People can just come from that apartment and come and sit here and get a beautiful cup of coffee. Robert, we are here in Uganda, in a place called Lubaga, near Miracle Center Cathedral, where the farmers market is. Can I have a mocha? Can you make me a mocha? Yeah. Get me any of those coffee. Cappuccino. So I don't have to go to Italy to have a cappuccino or to have a mocha. I can have it here. That's what the class we are talking about, that you don't have to think it's greener on the other side. It's time to create where we are and create the ambience where people can have life,
Wow.
where people can have fun.
That's
If you don't want to give me a visa to go to Italy, I'm going to have my mocha here.
And that's, I think, what a lot of people are missing is that we're searching for a first-class experience elsewhere instead of creating a first-class experience where we are.
Powerful.
And I think that people miss that because I remember going to Whole Foods and being like, when are we ever going to have a Whole Foods? When am I going to be able to go to a market and it not be crowded and you not have people sell things on the ground? When am I going to be able to get fresh produce, be able to buy marbled meat in Uganda, or have farmers that understand everything? And when you talked about this, a lot of people just said, well, we can do a shop. Like, and usually the innovation is nothing short of adding a 1% to an idea that's already there. But that's what people wanted you to just build. Hey, this is not a market. Maybe we just put stalls. You don't need to put these things there. But this, and I remember this, when you did this, everything changed for markets in the city. Everything changed. People started opening up stalls. People started opening up areas. And I think that when we're talking about innovation, the idea of what you're talking about is to not just think about the money you can bring in, but the impact you can have. Because the stories from here, I was about to cry when you were talking about the boy, but the stories from here are incredible. The people who don't have enough and they find you here, and people don't know that you're actively involved in all of the businesses that you do, and you're here checking up on things. And I think people don't even understand how impactful it is to have a farmer's market. In other ways, if a pastor is looking at this is another form of ministry.
This is ministry. This is ministry. Because when you talk to me about the Good Samaritan and the Levi, I don't understand that. But if I can be at farmer's market and I'm stranded and what I have is not enough, and as I'm driving by, I see my pastor, and my pastor looks at me and said, hey, take this bread home. Now you're talking about Good Samaritan. I understand what you're talking about. So I think everything about life, we have misinterpreted it to mean something else. When in actual fact, is what you said. Just add another 1% on what is already existing, then you'll have a class act.
Wow. And the other day we were having a conversation, and we came across a quote from a very important lady. I know the UK is going through trouble, but the lady had said something about the Good Samaritan didn't just have good ideas; he had money as well. And I think that's also
good intentions.
Good intentions.
Many people have got good intentions, Robert.
And they stop there.
They have good intentions. I wish I can help. I also, if I had, I would give. If I did this, no, those are good intentions. Do something with what you have so that everybody else can benefit, that everybody can receive, everybody can get something, you know. And that is true. That is true. Yeah.
And I think that this is the best way to show people that there's opportunity. There are gaps in the area that we can build and that we can fill. And I know you're busy. So we're going to I guess we'll finish.
One of the things that we talked about, farmers market, actually, when it was open, it was during COVID, but also we ended up helping a lot of people.
Yes.
Who didn't have money, and they could come and get food from here. Excellent food. Do you know that the food that is saving people's lives in Karamoja, the mixture that which is being used right now, which we're using to save lives, kids like Mark and others in Karamoja would have been severely malnourished. It was designed for farmers market. In my own sitting down and thinking about things, I realized we needed to get a formula, a meal that someone can use as porridge or someone can use as as anything, and then they could be able to get it. And guess what happened?
People are surviving.
Now, it's one of the best sellers here. We designed it to help the needy. Everybody wants it now, rich or poor. They test it. So, perspective.
And you've talked about it too, that when it comes to life, the class even in itself, like you talked about the formula, it doesn't matter. The poor and the rich both want the same thing.
Exactly. And now you're doing transformation.
Yeah.
When the rich and the poor both want the same thing, desire the same thing, like the same thing, now you are drawing people into transformation. Not because they have money, not because it's cheap, but because it's classy, it's good. I like that. All of us human want something. If you are to put iPhone X and iPhone 14, blah, 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 whether the kid is poor or rich, all of them will like the latest.
Yes.
The problem is affordability. So how do we make it available for everybody? And those are the things that we need to consider. But I'm glad you put the whole spin on this thing, from toil to table.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be faithful. So thank you guys for watching us. Now, for those of you that don't know, you're beginning the podcast and you're going to be discussing everything from transformation, how to do things in a more in-depth way. So you can probably hit this channel and check that out. We want to thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be viewing a few more things. This is one of the many areas of ministry and I think business that we've learned from. But thank you guys for joining us. Can't wait to see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Where's my coffee?